Donna Druchunas, and in this video I'm going to show you how to work a single crochet and crab stitch edging that I like for a lot of my projects, and I used it on these fingerless gloves. So I'm going to go all the way around the piece with single crochet and then all the way around with crab stitch. So to start, of course, I have to attach my yarn. So I've got my yarn, I've got my piece of knitting, and a crochet hook. That's about the same size as my needles, or sometimes maybe a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do on this particular piece, I've got garter ridges on one part of it, so I'm going to pick up a stitch between each garter ridge, and then on this part where it's like stockinette stitch, I'm just going to pick up a crochet into each stitch on the edge. If you are working with something else, you can just fudge and get it to match the tension so that your piece lies nice and flat. You don't want this to be too tight or too loose. But it's easy to rip out and start over, so it's no big deal. First thing we're going to do is attach the yarn. So we put the crochet hook in the first spot, pull up a loop of yarn. And if you don't crochet, just watch how I twist the crochet hook. Just makes it way easier to pull it through if you twist it so the hook part's facing down. And then I'm going to pull that through. So now all I did there was join my yarn, attach my yarn. This is the end from something else. Don't worry about it. We'll crochet right past it. Okay, so for single crochet, I'm just going to go into the next gap between the garter ridges. And if you do a slip stitch edge, you just go into the next slip stitch. Garter ridge, slip stitch, both is 2 rows every other row. So I'm just going to go into the ditch between those 2 garter ridges, pull up a loop, then I take my yarn around the hook and pull it through both loops. So that's what a single crochet is, and I'm just going to do that over and over all the way across. Again, I can go right over that end, and when I get to my seam, I'm just going to go between the 2 pieces of the seam, pull up a loop, grab the yarn, pull it through both. Okay, and you're going to do this all the way around, and I will do that now, and then I will come back and show you what to do at the end of the round and how to do the crab stitch or reverse single crochet to finish it off. Okay, here I am. I've worked my single crochet almost back to where I started. So let me just show you what I was doing on the stockinette stitch section. See where I have these little 2 sides of the stitch pointing away from me like a V, like how my thumb and finger are coming together? I go right into that V pointing away from me to make the single crochet. That's what I did across there. It just looks tidy. Now I'm back to like where the stockinette stitch and the garter stitch were joined, and I'm just going to get one last stitch so those 2 pieces at the beginning and the end come together. And now I'm going to join this. So I'm going to go into this first loop where I attached the yarn with my crochet hook. I'm going to go under 2 strands, and I'm going to pull this up through the 2 strands I went under, and then through the loop on my hook. That's like this called a slip stitch, and we joined. Now we're going to go back in this direction to do that crab stitch. You know how crabs walk backwards or sideways? Well, this is like backwards single crochet, but it's not just working single crochet lefty or in the other direction. We're going to do a little twist in it so we get this decorative beaded border. Okay, so we're going to take our hook and we're going to go into the previous stitch. I twist it backwards, pull the yarn through, and see how the 2 strands cross each other after you do that? That's what makes that little twist. I'll do it a couple more times, and of course you can rewind. So I'm going to go backwards into the previous stitch, wrap the hook around this way, pull it through. Don't pull it through that other loop though, just pull it through the edge of the piece, and then you have those 2 twisted strands. Pull it together and pull it through both of them. Okay, one more time quickly, just so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can back that up and watch it over and over. You go all the way around to the other edge, and then you just pull the working yarn through the last loop, fasten off, and weave in the ends. I'll show you when I get to the end. Grab stitch all the way around, and now I'm back to the end, which is actually the beginning. I've got one more unworked stitch there. So I'm going to put my hook into it, pull up the yarn with that funny twist, pull it through there, and then I'm just going to break off the tail. You can use a scissor if you don't like to break yarn. And then I'm going to pull that through the last loop, fasten it off, and then when I weave in my ends, I just tuck that in there, start weaving it in, and it joins together. And then I would do the same 2 rows on the other side. Now, if you hate crochet, I understand. Some people really don't like crochet. So if you don't like crochet, you can just pick up and knit around and then bind off. You can pick up and knit around and then work a couple rows of ribbing or a few rows of stockinette stitch for a rolled edge or garter stitch. Or if you want something a little decorative, you could just pick up and knit and then do an I-cord bind off. So I'll have a video for that if you'd like to try that if you really hate crochet. This, I really like how it looks, but I understand if you don't want to do it. That's it for now.